So based on my superior mathematical calculations, there are probably like 10 Kalista players worldwide, so I figured I'm gonna make a guide for more people to learn her a bit more in depth. Kalista is very complex after all, and there aren't many guides for her specifically. So in this video I'll go over all of her mechanics and tricks that you can use, some of which no one talks about. First, let's go over her passive. You can jump, and you can't cancel your attacks. First one is more obvious, but the second one actually has a special use, though let's first talk about how to jump around. The main thing you have to know are walls you can jump over. These aren't really too hard, and you can jump both ways in all cases, just sometimes you need to stand really close to the wall. The tricky part starts with Dragon and Baron Pit. For each you have only one specific spot where you can do it consistently. It's very useful when you are doing a slightly head-o call for your team and don't want to die. Just make sure to position yourself correctly beforehand. Another very useful thing to know about it is that you should actually move between the jumps. It's one of those things no one talks about, but should be constantly used. It allows you to cover way more distance, and lets you survive funny champions. And now the funny part. You've learned how to move, now you need to learn how to stand. No, I'm not joking. I've never been more serious in my life. As a Kalista, you unironically have to learn how to not move. Their reason for it is that if you jump when slowed, you lose a lot of DPS, so you have to balance it out, when to reposition to stay safe, and when you can stand still to deal more damage. And on top of that, it helps versus Poppy and Talia, since you can just ignore them and walk away. Another jump trick is not very useful, but it's still worth knowing. You can basically flash before jumping animation, and on some very rare occasions, it can save you. The last jump-related trick is only for people who want to put effort into learning the champ and decrease her win rate so that Riot doesn't buff her anyways just because solo queue is a joke. And they will only nerf her because Kyria came up with Kalista Jungle 15 seconds clear hack 1v9 penta. What was I saying? Ah yeah, the double jump. So you can cancel your attack animation with Q, and if you click around properly, you can double jump very fast. To do it correctly you have to attack, jump, click somewhere else mid-jump, Q, and then jump again. It's very hard to perform consistently, but it's worth learning. The animation cancel also allows you to hide your attack animation, making it really fast. For the second part of the passive there is only one thing. Your attacks cannot be cancelled. It surprisingly has its advantages. It allows you to actually kill wards more consistently, since you will still attack them when they disappear. And another thing is you can actually redirect your attacks mid-animation. It can help with farming and trading, and if you have any issues with that, or anything else, you can join my Discord server, and help me bully Casper into playing the Binding of Isaac. Ask me any questions. Link in the description. Next on the list is Kalista Q, simple ability but it has its potential. It's actually also worth maxing against lanes you can't consistently all in. The main way you're gonna use it is with your E. When you throw your Q, and use your E mid-air, it will also proc on enemies. It can also be used to disengage. The only other way to use your Q is to do the funny. So for those who don't know, if you turn something into a hedgehog and kill it with your Q, it will carry all the spears. You can use it for quality poke on lane, though you have to know how to prep the minions for it. Now for the Kalista's W. Okay, if you actually think this ability is bad, you should check yourself for some brain damage. This is unironically the most underrated ability in the entire game. You can take it level 2 most games, because not only does it deal shit ton of damage when your support can actually do something, but it also allows you for accurate jungle tracking. Just constantly use it on jungle camps and you should be fine. And while the W vision is mostly useless, you can also use it during fights, so that enemies can't hide on bush. To do that you can also cast your W during attack, and that allows you for a soft animation cancel. The only other way you can use it is to just throw it at enemies and bait them out of the bush. It can make for some really stupid situations. Next one is E. Surprisingly there isn't much to talk about it. You can use it during a jump, and it resets on kill. As I mentioned before, you can use that reset to chase enemies, so setting up the minions before engage is always good. Told you, there isn't much to talk about. Surprisingly her art is more interactive than the core ability. First thing that everyone should know, especially support players, is that it puts you at your maximum attack range. So if you have a ranged sup they will end up a lot farther from enemies. Another very interesting thing is, your ULT does not interrupt any casts. So if your support is casting an ability, and you use it, they won't be taken in until they finish casting. It can be used in creative ways, for example when they are putting themselves away from your range, like with Pike R, you can use it beforehand to drag them back in. Remember, there is no escape from Kalista. Now for the last thing, ULT hitboxes. When you throw someone, their hitbox starts existing from the moment it's being cast. You can abuse it versus champs like Ashe, who will most of the time throw her ULT the moment she sees you engage. And when it comes to the initial cast hitboxes, they disappear almost immediately, so you can use that to save your support from some bullshit. Though sometimes they can still die regardless, and just like Azir ULT before fixes, it will end up doing nothing. That's pretty much all, though I'm pretty sure I've missed something regardless, so if you find out what it was, let me know in the comments. Also don't forget you can like and subscribe, or even join my Discord server, linky in the description. Bye.